What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Honest Tattooer podcast, brought to you by Tattoo Smart. My name is John Mesa. I'm with my co-host, Matt Triano.
Hey, how you doing?
And G-Money's not here yet, but
he's coming.
Maybe he will be.
Hopefully.
And we have a very special guest, and his name is Richie Bulldog.
Ew.
Yo, welcome to the podcast, my man.
Yo, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
For real.
So, if you don't know Richie Bulldog, I don't know where the hell you've been for the past fucking 15 years. Because the man's been involved in Hustle Butter. You've done MCing and conventions all over the country and the world.
That's correct.
And the last thing that I saw you involved in was the slap competition. Which,
Shout out to Dana White, who ran with it.
yeah.
Man, those things are brutal.
Bro.
I don't understand.
Dude.
Like, I could watch people get knocked out in fights and street fights, like MMA fights and all that, but when I see those guys just standing there, just waiting to get slapped the
Eat
fuck out, dude, I'm like, what?
Yo, and it's so funny because out of all those other things that you've mentioned, that is stuck with me. Like some people, still to this day, they're like, hey, what do you think of Richie Bulldog? And they're like, oh, he likes slap contests. That's the only thing that they remember about me. I could have saved babies from a building, and they're like, oh, that's the slap contest.
That's a slap contest guy. But
Crazy.
when I first heard that, I was like, what? And then when I first saw it, I was like, oh, shit, this is very entertaining.
It's crazy, right?
Yes. It's very, very entertaining.
Things to do in Texas when there's nothing else to do.
Shit.
You ever see the female version of that?
Would they have that?
Yes, it was the same. Yeah, the same one. We had two knockouts.
No, I've only seen
Yeah.
the dudes. I never saw.
But then they also have the ones where the girls are bending over and they're slapping each other's asses.
I've seen that too recently. Recently. Recently.
That's good.
All right.
So Richie, tell us about your beginnings. How did you get involved in the tattoo industry from the beginning?
My first tattoo.
Yeah, let's start
First
there.
tattoo, 1989. I seen a kid that I just graduated high school with, and he had a big old tattoo, and it was fresh, and we were at the beach, and I was like, yo. How everybody's...
He had a fresh tattoo at the beach.
At the beach, right, at the beach, fresh at the beach.
What the...
the next day, and it was
Covered in
glistening.
sand.
His whole arm had a gallon of Vaseline over it, or A&D, and he kept reapplying, and yeah, there was sand all over it. It was like an irritated mess, but it was beautiful on his skin. He was like a ginge.
Yeah.
So
Ginger.
his skin was so white, ultra white, and the lines were just so crispy and amazing. And it was a tattoo from Mikey Perfetto.
Oh shit.
And he was like, yeah, you got to go to Mikey Perfetto. I was like, how do you go? He's like, you just got to show up. I was like, that's fucking, what do you mean you just got to show up? So sure enough, the next day, he was closed. So I had to wait. There was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He didn't tattoo on regular days. It was just the Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And you just show up literally to a stoop. It was a stoop. He was downstairs behind the stoop.
He's still rolling like that.
The
right?
exact
He's
same
still
place.
rolling the same way.
Exact same place. And you go in there and you don't go in, you just wait. You wait and you don't talk to anybody. So it's like waiting on a line and you don't know if you don't know what the situation's going to be. So sure enough, after 6 hours, the line gets closer, closer, closer. You break the doorway and it's just a long hallway full of flash that opens up to a slightly larger hallway. And then his little room in the back where he tattoos. So you're there and now you're seeing the prices and you're like, oh shit, $80, 85, 25, 35, just written right next to it. And there it was, this beautiful bulldog. It was $90. And I had $70. So the kid with me, you know what I mean? He couldn't get tattooed because he gave me $30. So now I got the money and it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Right? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had a Florida's driver's license. I don't remember why, but I had a Florida's driver's license. Maybe because I was living there at the time and I came home post-graduation to hang out with the kids, and that's how it worked. And it was a little disheveled. 18 years old, you carry it in your pocket, it gets washed. It's starting to peel at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's like, how old are you, kid? And I'm like, I'm 18. He's like, yeah, you got any ID? So sure enough, I give him a Florida ID. The first thing he's like, yeah, right. Yeah, Florida
okay.
ID, right? Come on. And then he's like, it's peeling. So he literally takes it and fucking just peels it apart. Like
Just to see if it was for real. For real.
and he peeled it apart, and at that point, it didn't matter. It was destroyed. So he's like, I'm not tattooing you.
Dang.
I was like, he was like, who can we call? He's like, I can't call your mother because you're from Florida. I was like, oh, but I'm staying with my aunt. So I was staying with my aunt at the time. Sure enough, she rest in peace, my Aunt Carmen. He calls her up. She's like, yeah, he's 18. I was like, thank you, Titi Carmen. And I sat there and I got my tattoo and I'm sitting there. And I'm like it's all going. And as the lines are going, it just like the buzzing, everything just like went quiet. And all I was thinking like, yo, the next one's going to be a dragon. and then maybe like that cool Hanya mask. And it was over. Just like that, it was over. And I looked at it and I was just like, that was it.
You're like, I love this.
I love this.
Yeah.
The next day, sure I am like looking at like, oh, what am I going to get next? What am I getting next? Fast forward, I never got anything next because tattoos cost money, right?
Yeah.
I go into the Marines and I still have the bug of wanting to get tattooed. And I go into the Marines. And before I went into the Marines, someone said, yo, if you want to get tattoos, when you go to the Marines, you go to Zeke Owen. Tattoo Zeke.
Yeah, Tattoo Zeke.
Rest in peace. And sure enough, that's what I did. I got out of boot camp. I went to some training school that was in Jacksonville in that Marine town where there's a million tattoo shops, pawn shops, and foot massages. The original foot massage spot. Like now you guys think you have foot massage places here, but that's where it started, right there in that town. And sure enough, I go into this place called Lucky Tiger looking for Zeke, a little shop on Court Street. You know, the worst part of the neighborhood. There were still some unsavory characters there. It was actually forbidden if you were in the Marine Corps to go to Court Street because there was prostitution and drugs and foot massages and things of that nature. Went right there, walked in the place. Zeke wasn't there. It was some young Marine was there, and I'm like, hey, is your boss here? Like,
Who's the guy?
it's J.R. Maloney.
JR.
Turned out to be J.R. Maloney.
Damn.
Who's a great tattooer, probably like one of my best friends in the whole world for years since 1990, probably 92.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was just telling Richie before you walked down here that I've been trying to get JR on here for a couple of months. And now that I know that he listens, JR, now that you're here,
let's go, bro. Let's go.
Come
you
on,
gotta
man.
come on down.
100%. You got to represent. And JR, that's when my real tattoo education began. Like hanging with JR, like it was instant. Like we met, he was from New York, I was from New York. I love tattoos. He was apprenticing tattooing.
Yeah.
And he showed me his book. I was like, yo, let me see your book. Like, I had a tattoo from Mikey Perfetto. Hey kid, let me see your work. And it's just like that. And I looked in his book and it was all like graffiti stuff and like dope shit. And I was like, wow. You could tattoo shit like this? Because I'm looking at JD Crow Flash and like all the old Flash on the walls,
Yeah.
the wolves and the Indians. And this kid's like spray cans and this, that. And I was hooked. And I got like my first new school tattoo.
The new school.
That's right. Had a little tribal like crown of thorns and 8-ball and like a little Sacred Heart. Like all of those like tattoo extravaganza elements like in one tattoo.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, right there. Bang.
Bang. And it was
Fire.
great. And I was like, oh, what's this? It's negative space. Like, wow.
Like, it's space.
Like, he's like tattooing me. And I was like, bro.
Yo, that pink looks really good still back there. Or was it red back in the day?
No, it's all, well, not this, just this piece here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That, like,
No,
what's
it's
behind
in
the
there.
evil.
It's
yeah,
in
it's in
there.
there. I'm like, I think
It's
it looks
in
really
there.
good.
Was there yellow in there too, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's still there. It might be like Chris Trevino inks, like from way back in the days, the shit that killed you from Texas.
Yeah.
Like all that old carcinogenic.
But it worked.
The plastic, it's in there. And I got that tattoo. And it was just like, it was it. We both love skateboarding and New York, right?
Yeah.
Hip hop, graffiti, hardcore, like the whole New York
Culture at the
scene
time.
growing up, right? Like we had it. Now we were two disconnected people in like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And we came together and it was like being with my brother or any of the kids that I would write graffiti with or go skateboarding with in Soho and get kicked out. The
Yeah.
cops would drive you to the train. They would put you on the train when you skate here in the 80s.
Yeah.
And like I had that with him. And then it was just like a tutelage, so to speak. Stacks of tattoo magazines, 30 years old in the place, because it was Zeke's place. That place is probably 30, 40 years old, just the structure itself.
Honest Tattooer is brought to you by Tattoo Smart. They offer digital design tools for the professional tattooer, helping you save time and make your clients happy. Make sure to check out some of their best sellers, the Spit Shade set, the Needle set, advanced 3D body parts, and one of my personal favorites, the Snake Kit. With a vast collection of ready-to-use Procreate flash stamps in a range of styles, including neo-traditional, ornamental, illustrative, Japanese, floral, and more. Listeners can use code HONEST20 at checkout to save 20% on any Tattoo Smart order.
Like I learned, we did all this stuff together, and he taught me about Ed Hardy and Tattoo City and the East Coast and the West Coast, and because it was all there.
Yeah.
And I loved being a Marine, but I hated being in the Marines. Naturally, anybody who's creative, you can't be in an institute.
There's so much order.
Oh my god.
So much order.
Like if you go to the mall on your day off and you have like you didn't shave, they fucking, hey, come over here.
They were like,
Yeah, they come with their ID card, and if you can make that noise, they'd be like, hey, come see me on Monday.
dang.
Type shit. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Crazy,
Wow.
crazy. And it can't be like that anymore, because like the shit you see now in like the military, the way it's run.
Yeah.
Anyway, so JR, for all intents and purposes, was a hard charger. He wasn't like me. Like I was the dude, I couldn't wait to get out. This dude lived for it. He wanted to do recon, like the super hard shit.
Yeah.
And they offered it to him because he was such a badass. But he didn't want to sign up. They wanted him to sign for like 6 more years. And he was like, nah, fuck that. I want to be a tattooer. I want to go follow this thing. And I remember like the precipice is when he had some leave and he's like, dude, I'm going to go take this trip and I'm going to go get this tattoo. And I was like, cool. What is it? He's going, I'm going to Tattoo City in San Francisco.
Oh shit.
And I'm going to get tattooed by Eddie Deutsch.
The Deutsch.
The Deutsch. And we were like, I was like, wow, because we were so infatuated with what was going on at Tattoo City at the time and what was going on in Everlasting at the time. Like the whole Freddie Corbin thing, you know, that style that we all emulate now, like that cool like mix of religion and new school and like graffiti and like all these images, that this avant-garde stuff that has become like a tattoo style that is so popular in fashion now and everywhere else.
Yeah.
But that's like the shit that they were doing in San Francisco, you know, like that pre-stuff from the super Asian style stuff, the Eastern stuff. And then they started, you know, and then the traditional. And then
That's like the most like illustrative, like
crazy
styles that were coming out at the time. You know,
Mike
It's breaking out of
Davis,
things.
like Everlasting, they were in San Francisco. It was like Mike Davis, somebody else, Little Vinnie Myers, and Dave Fox. Like these guys were on the East Coast doing all this stuff. And those were the people like I was hooked on. We were following tattooing like sports fanatics from like a little cave in like North Carolina. And JR was probably definitely the best tattooer coming up in that area. Like we were winning all the little competitions around with like the stuff he was putting on me. And we spent hours and like we do the whole Marine Corps thing. And then we get off at Friday night and tattoo Friday into Saturday. And I was a cook in the Marines.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it sucked, bro. It's like working at McDonald's and you can't quit. Like you can't quit. Like no matter how shitty it is, you gotta
there.
quit. And
Yeah.
if you fuck up, then they're gonna even make it worse for you. Right. So I would have to be in at 2:30 in the morning to cook breakfast. So I would come in and get tattooed from like 12 to like 1:30.
Yeah.
And then go to work like all wrapped up, stand in front of a hot grill.
Oh man.
Like,
Damn.
like we put in work and we were doing like these crazy pieces. And he came back from this tattoo pilgrimage with this Leonardo da Vinci with a moco. It's the sickest tattoo I'd ever seen. And it was just like, wow.
Wow.
And then when that happened, we both knew what we wanted to do. I wanted him to go to New York to tattoo, and I wanted to follow him back.
Yeah.
And be with him somehow. Pause. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
We
Like,
wanted to be together.
yeah, we wanted to be together, doing stuff together, but separate, but together. You know, and definitely best friends through all this. You know, and we wound up going to a tattoo convention looking for work. Like he was about to get out of the Marine Corps in like 3 months. So there was a tattoo convention. And I literally remember saying, yo, we got to go see Jonathan Shaw. Because at that time, Filip Leu was working with Jonathan Shaw.
Oh shit.
Filip
Wow,
Leu was
dude.
making all the ads for Fun City Tattoos.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Like all the cool skulls and like the dancing skulls. That kind of
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, you got to work over there.
That's
You got to
the
work
spot.
over there. And at the same time, Jonathan Shaw being like the grindy, gritty, like starting to do artsy stuff now. Like he started doing like these abstract tattoos.
Yeah.
Like, and then sure enough, when that was happening, a little thing called Eastside Inc. was happening. And Eastside Inc. was like the younger, more welcoming, like youth vibe
Yeah.
of the art world that has kind of grown into what it is today. You know what I mean? Like there was all different kinds of people. Everybody was into music and tattooing where, you know, Jonathan Shaw was like the shotgun tattooer.
He was
If
the
you-
OG, old school
Correct.
style.
Get off my fucking lawn type shit.
Yeah.
You know, and he asserted that dominance. He asserted that dominance in the Lower East Side. So JR was like, I was like, yo, you got to talk to Jonathan Shaw. And we were like, hey, Jonathan, look at my guy's work. I don't know if I told him or his somebody who was working with him. JR will tell you the story perfectly. And Jonathan Shaw's like, we got enough tattooers in New York. Keep it fucking moving, kid.
As Gabe would say, we're full.
We're
Yeah,
full.
yeah, totally. So sure enough, one way or another, I was like, yo, Eastside Inc. And then they had like the sick ad. And it was, if you know New York, it was Andrea Elston, Sean Vasquez.
Yeah.
Who Sean was with Michelle at S&M prior to Eastside.
Okay.
S&M was Sean and Michelle Tattoo on St. Mark's Place. And so Eastside, and again, really artsy. Like if you know New York Adorned, do you know Lori from New York Adorned?
I don't know her, but I know of her. Of
Okay,
course,
so
yeah.
you know the vibe of New York Adorned?
Yeah.
That was transcendent of East Side. Like that started East Side.
Okay.
Like that vibe, you know, just like a collection. Bernie Luther was at East Side. Nala Smith was at East Side. I don't know if any of these names ring a
Yes,
bell.
Nala Smith. He had a shop actually in
The Brooklyn
in
Goose.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
He's another Tattoo City guy. He came from Tattoo City with Eddie and those guys.
Okay, so he's from that
Right.
group.
So that's how I was lucky enough to meet Freddie Corbin, Eddie Deutsch, because they would come over to East Side. East Side was like their gateway.
Yeah.
You know, like they had the first, like, oh, guys are coming from the West Coast all the time. You know, Kaz and like June and all these other guys. Kaz is still around here today. But it was just amazing. He got a job there. So he's there working. He's like, yo, I got a job at East Side Inc. I'm the worst storyteller ever.
No, this is good.
I'm fucking all over
It's so entertaining.
So I'm still in the Marines, and he's there, and he's like, dude, I got a job at East Side. He's like, you got to come down here. And I was like, fucking damn right, I'm going to come down here. And he was like, yeah, some guy here, he's a friend of Sean's. He can get you a delivery job for like $600 a week. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what I'm delivering. You know what I mean? But I get down here, and that job wasn't a real job.
Yeah.
But I didn't care because it was an excuse for me to come down there. And literally the first day I'm in town, JR took over Clay Decker's space. If you know Clay Decker. Clay was one of the original Eastside Inc. people. It was
Yes.
Clay, Andrea, Sean, and Lori ran it. And Bernie would come back and forth. Bernie Luther, Mike Davis, like Dan Higgs, everybody from Tattoo City. It was just like, it was like the cool spot. It
Yeah.
was like where everybody was everybody. The first day I come down, I'm hanging out with Sean Vasquez, because he was tattooing some kid. And, you know, when you're at the tattoo space, you kind of gravitate, you talk, somebody's talking to you, you kind of sit down in the room, and we were just hanging out. Like we were sitting there bullshitting. They were asking me about the Marines and what's it like to be home. It was like it was my first day home from prison. You know what I'm saying? And people were like, dude, what the
How's
like,
it like?
you just came out of the Marines, you know, imagine me like, I'm just like this, like stoked to be home. And the kid who's getting tattooed is getting this big, like Sean Vasquez style piece of like, they're playing instruments like a drum. It looked like a Hanya demon, like playing a drum. And it turns out the kid getting the tattoo had just became a teacher. He was a music teacher. And his brother gifted him this tattoo.
Oh, that's-
with Sean.
Wow.
So I'm over here talking with him. So we take a break. The kid's brother shows up, and we go to the back of the yard to smoke a joint. My first joint out of the Marine Corps, bro.
Damn.
And the dude's brother passes me the joint, the dude who bought the kid the tattoo. He's like, hey, do you want to smoke? And I was like, yeah. I smoked. And it turns out the dude who passed me the joint is Seth, my partner.
Oh, cool.
And
Get
that
outta
day,
here.
I met like my third best friend of my life, my new brother, Seth, because we had the love of tattooing and music and all the same stuff. Because if you know about Eastside Inc., it's like you've penetrated a level. Like when you get to certain tattooers or tattooers, you could tell, okay, well, this person is serious, right? If they're here. And that was the kind of place for like-minded, serious people about the serious things. Yeah. And we just clicked it off. And, you know, the rest is history as far as that's concerned.
Tattoo armor is literally the best way to wrap your client. I've been using it, Matt's been using it, and it's just awesome. There's no mess, there's no glue, and it's just super comfortable. I hope you can try it for yourself and just go on to Tattoo Armor and use the code Honest Tattooer for 20% off your order.
But Sean took me under his wing. I became a shop rat, if you will, because I was getting tattooed and nobody would ask me for money. So I would be like, yo, what can I do? You know what I mean? Like, they tattooed me because they liked me, which is the weirdest shit ever. Like, yo, I'll tattoo you. You know what I mean? It was just like weird.
I don't think that's weird at all, man. I think that's like, I would tattoo my friends all the time if they're just my buddies.
Yeah, if I have the time and you're around.
Yeah.
And I want to do something sick and I like you, I'm like, hey, dude, come, let me tattoo you.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So now I don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
But I felt like I took for so long. I felt like I took from JR. I took a lot of the tattoos that I have were given to me. They were gifted to me. So they're really, really special. They're really, really dope. You know what I mean? Like, I paid for some tattoos and they're still not as good as the ones that were given to me for free.
It's a completely different dynamic and experience. I feel like tattooing, when it's like that, out of friendship, out of bond, it becomes more of like what tattooing used to be, where it became so much more of like it's a ritual, man. It's a ritual.
Totally.
I'll compare it to cooking, right? And I'm not a cook, but I'm saying, like, you know that your mom's cooking is so much better because there's that love in it.
Yeah.
Right? Your buddies gave you that love tattoo. That's why you like it so much more.
Crazy, man. And I've been, again, gifted so many tattoos just from being at Eastside. Like, hey, this is Richie. Hey, yeah, I just got home from the Marines. Like, I was almost a novelty there, you know, like a gesture of sorts. Like, I provided happiness and entertainment when people were like working, just because I was so stoked to be there.
Yeah.
I would run and go, yo, who wants something from the store? Oh, it was the days when Sean would show up and not have any paper towels. You know what I mean? Like, I'll go get you the paper towels. You know, I'll roll you a joint. I'll go pick up the food. And it turned into a job. Like, if you're reliable enough, you know,
if you're good at something, you'll pay somebody.
Yo, and I just did it for the love of getting tattooed. Like, I didn't care. Like, I was down. I scrubbed tubes. I broke needle bars. I did everything an apprentice did, except tattoo.
Yeah.
For no money, for even less than that. And it just became a thing. Like, Sean, we became family. Like, Andrea, we became family.
Man, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I feel like, try to tell any young kid nowadays to do something like that, and they would be like, what? You want me to be here and do this for no money? What?
All day?
I mean, like, when we put up things about, like, you know, apprentices should not get paid, or, like, you know, because people are losing their minds.
Sorry, I'm not feeling appreciated.
I'm like, this is crazy. But now here you're talking like you're like, I just really love being here.
Happy to be there.
I'm happy to be here, happy with this environment. And because of it, people are like, oh man, you add value to the space. Let's give this guy a job. Let's create a position for him.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege. And especially like I also was able to quantify the fact that the level of artists I was with, I wasn't with a bunch of scumbags, like smoking weed, doing meth, like feeling up kids or anything crazy, which that happens, you know, especially back
fucking
then.
Weirdos, yeah.
Like, it was some weird shit going on, you know? Like, the guy was with the dungeon, you know what I mean? Or like, come on, like, that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So when I found like this really wholesome place where, like, if people were like getting fucked up on drugs, they would say, hey man, you got to go take care of your shit. Like, it was just like it's not what I expected as far as what one would think the tattoo community is. Like, when people look at us now, again, we're not what they expect, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're intelligent?
You dress well?
You own a home?
Tattoo artists? Oh, wow.
You pay taxes?
Most of us.
So nonetheless, like, I did it for the love of tattooing and the artist, and I felt that I was always given so much that I felt like giving back, like doing a little favor. I'm a neighborhood kid. You do for me, I do for you. One hand washes the other. to wash the back, you know what I mean? Or scratch the back, or to wash the face. I don't know. but that's how it was. And I just grew with it. I grew with it. And then what happened one day was I stepped away for a little while because I had to feed myself. Again, I wasn't tattooing, right?
Yeah, so you have to work.
You have to
make a
work,
living,
and I'm working. And one day I show up to, this was 1997, I remember. And I showed up to see Sean, and I hadn't seen Sean in like 3 or 4 years. You know, just like life happens.
Life happens, yeah.
And I grew up and I just couldn't support myself, you know, working for tattoos. You know what I mean? I never asked for money. Literally, I'm the dude who's like, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Yeah, let me get this, let me get this sleeve right now, or whatever. And one day, tattooing became legal in 1997.
Yeah.
Like, I got a phone call. Sean's like, yo, come see us. We're at the Broadway Tattoo Theater. It was like 555 Broadway. And Wes Wood, who owned Kaleidoscope, and what's the name of the tattoo supply company?
Unimex.
What the fuck?
Unimex Tattoo Supply.
My first job.
Yeah.
Tattooing. It's so
Unimex
terrible.
Tattoo Supply, yeah.
Okay. I'm 51 for the record. So all the shit that I'm fucking remember, I've been,
You have a good memory, bro.
yeah, like, and I've been like smoking plenty of weed every day.
Yeah.
So it's Unimax. It was upstairs, like a little dentist office
Yeah.
at Canal. So turns out he's like, hey, we just bought a big space on Canal Street and we need somebody to help us demo it. So we're just trying to get a bunch of, so naturally everybody who got tattooed was hired to get it. Like, yeah, we're going to go work. And it was this junk store. It was this huge junk store on Canal, right off Wooster and West Broadway.
Yeah.
And it was this huge space and it was filled with like just garbage, like telephones, like they would sell used telephones, like a junk store on Canal Street. And we went in there and we gutted it and we threw it all out. And it probably took like 3 months. And then we wound up like fixing it up. And then Matty Jankowski was a great artist back in the day. He worked for West. He was like the curator of the gallery, so to speak, and the designer. And then we all started painting it and like we wanted to finish it. And then when it came time to finish, I was like, oh man, it's so fucked up because I had a job and now it's finished. And then Wes was like, hey, well, I'm going to keep everybody who built the store. So now I had a job in tattooing. Like I had a legitimate job.
Yeah, job.
A jobby job. Like, and I would go home to my wife and I was like, babe, you believe this shit? I work in the tattoo industry. Like I'm doing this. Like we're going to eat. And he made me I was the first manager of Sacred.
Nice.
The very first manager of Sacred. Not the Sacred we know now, but the one that was on Canal. It was like a huge, beautiful space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it just got too expensive.
Yeah.
And the ups and downs. And Wes taught me that you don't have to be a tattooer, even though Wes is a tattooer.
I never knew that Wes tattooed ever.
Wes is a tattooer, and I credit him being the king of New York tattooing because it was his legislature, him and I believe Clayton also had some involved because they had the Tattoo Society, which I was a member of. I hope that, I don't know if that expired or I haven't paid any dues, but I was in the Tattoo Society and Mike McCabe and like all these guys, like these older school dudes, we were doing stuff at CBGB's and like I was in it and I was so thankful and so grateful to do this. And Sean was there and Mike Bellamy was there, Kaz was there, a couple of Rhonda was there. These were all the people there. And just Sean one day was like, bro, this is too Walt Disney for us. Like it was too sanitized. Like he, like 2 of the 3 artists felt like it was just too far away from what
it was.
Correct.
Before,
Underground tattoo.
Yeah,
It was.
from the-
like, forget it. He'd
tattooing.
fucking lose his mind now if he was alive.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. But, you know, it felt like we would joke about it like it was soft.
Yeah.
It was like touristy.
How I feel when I go to a shop that is all white with no art.
Correct. Like
Yeah.
you'd see my gallery, you'd be sick. But then Sean and me, we talked about it and we asked Mike and Kaz and then we started Triple X Tattoo. Triple X Tattoo is now Red Rocket Tattoo. If you're familiar with Red Rocket,
Yeah.
that was Triple X.
Oh shit.
And I started that with Mike and
Mike
Sean.
Bellamy, yeah.
Correct.
Shit.
I actually found the space. It was 46 West 36th Street. And I was the manager there.
Damn.
But nonetheless, I was still the guy who would go out and I had dreads. I had like blonde dreads and I would go out and it was summertime and Sean would come in Mondays broke and like detoxing. I'd be like, bro, go out and give us some fucking flyers. Bring some work in here. And I would go out there and I'd give out flyers and I'd come back 2 hours later and the shop would be packed.
Damn.
The shop would be packed.
The New York Tattoo Conventions happen at the Dougal Greenhouse, October 18, 19, 20. 340 artists coming from all over the world. Food trucks, beer, wine, a couple of bands playing, burlesque show, drag queens. You can come along and see myself, Ed, and our good partner Roy there as well. And of course, all you guys, the artists. And of course, the most important people, the clients. See you there.
Let me interrupt you for a second and welcome Mr.
Anyway, welcome Mr. G Money to the
Welcome, Delivery.
Sorry, guys. I just finished working and I rushed down here as fast as I could.
But it was always like a give back. And even when I did that and I ran that studio, I literally ran it for like $300 a week. Like I remember Sean saying, I can afford $150 a week. And Mike was like, well, I'll match that. And I ran that studio for $300 a week.
It's incredible.
Whoa.
My wife was pregnant. Actually, she was pregnant when I was building Sacred. Like my wife was pregnant. I was dragging sheetrock into Sacred. And it's funny because people don't know what I've put in and the time and the length that I put in. And they just know me from Hustle Butter.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, Johnny come lately, interloper, like things of this nature. And I've been putting in work and I've been giving back for like little return just for the love. And I still do it. I love this thing. And I'm always going to leave things better than I found it.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. I think you're right, though. I think a lot of people are like, and I'm not just saying with you, but a lot of, like we had Ed from Tattoo Armor the other day, like he put in his work, he was talking about it, that people see, oh, there's just a non-tattooer trying to reap the benefits off the tattoo industry, not realizing that they probably know more about this tattoo industry than a lot of the tattooers who've been
And not for that, they probably have more tattoos on them than a lot of tattooers nowadays, bro.
I was gonna say
which
that.
is facts, bro. Like Ed is covered, bro.
Yeah.
You've been getting tattooed forever, bro.
I'm
and
working
there's
on my
people that are
second- my
tattooing
second
nowadays.
shit now, yeah.
They literally have no tattoos, and nobody says shit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I get it. You're really good at art, and you just picked up a tattoo machine and you nailed it. But I don't know, man. I don't think you love this money that this industry can create.
And I agree with that. And it's funny because it's not like somebody right away will be like, oh, you're gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what? You gay? No, it's not that at all. But like, how can you be about it if you ain't about it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You got to be about it one way or another. Either you're giving skin or you're pushing the ink or both. Because most tattooers are, you've been there, right?
Yeah.
Like you just don't wake up one day with no tattoos and being like, yo, I want a tattoo. That's what I want to do. But they are out there and they are doing well. But that from our, like get it, do it and get it. Like not just get it and dream it, but like kudos. Like there's people that are naturally gifted, naturally talented that just wake up and do shit. Oh, that's my first fucking attempt. And it's like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they
like,
kill it.
ugh.
They're super good.
And that's great too. But it's just like, I just felt different. Like I felt like I paid good, hard money to get where I'm at. And I appreciate it. And I covet it because of that. I'm not a gatekeeper because a lot of, like I'm not a tattooer, but I'm definitely a part of the community.
Yeah.
Which turned into industry. And now, whatever it is, like
Yeah.
you either ride it to the top or you sink to the bottom, right?
For sure.
So you just said something to me earlier before we hit record was that you considered yourself retired.
Right. I consider, as far as being a show MC,
Okay.
I retired from emceeing shows. I was emceeing shows.
You were traveling nonstop.
I was doing it.
Yeah.
I was putting in the work. I made
Yeah.
a lot of sacrifices, almost lost my family over it. Like probably not, but my wife was like, yo, I was about to leave. She ain't going nowhere. But no, definitely. Like my kids are always like, oh, you weren't there. It was like 2 years. Like I was there the whole thing. Like shit didn't get crazy for me until it was like my 40s when Hustle Butter started to take off. Then I had to be out there. But as far as all the tattoo stuff, like my wife was involved. My kids were involved. They grew up in tattoo shops. They grew up with Sean Vasquez and Andrea. You know what I mean? Stay away from the Sharps containers. You know what I mean? Like, don't get the stencil shit on your face. Like, my kids know this. Like, my kids grew up like if their parents were tattooers.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the making of Hustle Butter?
getting tattooed sucks, right? And healing tattoos kind of sucked.
That's the worst
especially
part.
from our time.
Yeah.
Bacitracin, A&D, like that was it. You know, that was it. And it just never worked out for me. So 2009, there was a whole period of time after I left the tattooing. I wanted to be like, you know, I wanted to pursue my own art. I was doing stand-up, I was doing theater, I was doing filmmaking, and I got really good at the filmmaking stuff. So I wanted to mix my passions. And it's so funny because we're sitting here in a camera shoot. I started this thing called So Tattooed, and with my video production experience, and I had like the first HD camera, and I was literally traveling around the world with a light kit, like a 100-pound light kit, like setting up all these shoots, making these really cool videos. You can still find them.
They look great, by the way. I remember them, and that's
Yeah,
why I
I
actually
remember
brought
them.
up
Yeah.
Oren before. 'Cause I remember the one that you did
I did for Oren. I
Beautiful.
I did all the great artists who nobody really knew. Like I put a lot of people onto Stefano Alcantara.
Yeah.
Stefano Alcantara, I love this. I love this. Just like, I mean, I did everybody. Big Gus, Guy Aitchison. You know, like I could go down the list of so many artists I did, so many that I've forgotten. And in my travels, when I would go into these conventions, I would see the better of the artists literally like doing their setups, and they'd pull out like a Tupperware. Like they pull out a Tupperware and you look in the Tupperware, and there's like this brown thing in there, like concoctions. And they're scooping the shit out and they're putting it on their pen. I'm like,
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
what the fuck is that? And the dude's like, oh, it's cocoa butter. I'm going to tattoo with cocoa butter and shea butter. And I was like, really? And then I would come back and I would see these tattoos, like a big extensive tattoo, just like not bleeding. Just like shit I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Not red, not irritated.
Not red, not irritated, just like this huge piece, and like just blown away. And then I would see it again. And I noticed most of the better tattooers that were winning the competitions and were just like doing the bigger pieces, like not having issues, like they were making their own concoctions. Like everything was, it wasn't petroleum. It wasn't, they were like, the key is don't use any petroleum. People were using shea butter. So I was like, yo. So the point got to the people that invested in my company that were sending me around to shoot these interviews were like, okay, you need to make money now. So my platform for So Tattooed was I was going to make the coolest videos that nobody's ever seen about tattooers that they had no idea existed, doing art that they had no idea was at such a level before any of the TV shows. And I was doing that. But the guy was like, how are we going to make money? I was like, we're going to do it on Facebook. We're going to put these movies out and the views, and then we'll get like other companies, like machine companies to buy space. Like, you know, we'll sell ad space. And it just didn't happen fast enough.
Yeah.
And the guys in the company wanted me to start charging tattooers for these interviews.
Right.
And I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
No fucking way I'm going to do that. And they locked me out. They took my Facebook page, the So Tattooed Facebook page,
Oh, shit.
which still existed. It was at 2.4 million views. Like that's how many likes I had in 2009. I had a page of 2000.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Right? And that's where that's why they invested. And I was getting free boots from Troy because I would give him a post. My website was getting views. I was dealing with this. There was another crazy site. I know you remember My Tattoos. My Tattoos. It was like My Tattoos. And
Shit,
it was
I
like
remember that one.
10 million views. It was like,
I don't remember that one.
I don't
it was the
remember that one
first
either.
time, I'm sure, first time you saw Levgin's work, the first time you saw like all that crazy European shit that was like, you know, the guy walking off the building and like all those crazy fucking viral tattoos.
Oh,
yeah.
Like you saw them from this guy's page. He was the one. So I was following that trend. I couldn't make money because I didn't want to charge artists.
Yeah.
The guys locked me out. So I was like, yo, I'm going to make a tattoo care product. Shea butter, this, that, and the other thing. So I found something similar that was out there, right?
Which you don't want to talk about right now?
I can.
Okay.
I could
Yeah.
say whatever. There was a similar product. And from a company that wasn't a tattoo company.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I can probably help you with this. I can probably like maybe show this to a couple of people, tell you what's wrong with it, tell you what is good with it. And it turns out that company had an ulterior motive, as most companies do.
I do want to get into this. So it was LPI.
Correct?
It was Le Pew Inc., right? That's what they were?
Lepo.
Le Pew.
Le Pew.
Le Pew.
Lepo.
Pepe Le Pew?
Right.
Le Pew.
Right.
That's what I always call them. Was Le Pew.
Le Pew.
Yeah. So how did that, like, how did you get involved with them?
So I was going around doing my stuff. And at the point, I was looking for ways to bring money into So Tattooed. So I was looking for sponsorships. I was looking for, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll work with you. And they had the people who owned this company they were chasing the couture, Eddie Hardy upscale dream of what outsiders thought tattooing was becoming.
Yeah.
You know, before the Ed Hardy shit was super douchey, just when it was like super hot. And it wasn't that it was super hot. It was just that the designer who wasn't Ed Hardy, who licensed the stuff, Christian Audition,
yeah.
he had all these friends, the Kardashians, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, the connection.
And that's how you do it. You give it to your friends, and your friends kind of blow up the shit for you. Ed got paid, walk away. But in that, like, a lot of other people saw the time for a cash grab.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we could just make expensive shit and take it into the tattoo world, and it'll be like blowing up. But that's not how it is it?
After I got the chance to sit down with Matt and John on the Honest Tattooer podcast, the Force of Focus got amazing feedback when it comes to the Hello to Healed process, networking strategies, and most of all, creating your own personal brand and culture. So I want to give you the opportunity to take 15% off by coming to join the Force of Focus arena. Now, this is a community of high-achieving tattoo artists who are all here for one reason: to be around like-minded individuals who all want to grow not only in our personal lives, but within our businesses. We're going to walk with you side by side to build out every system you could ever imagine to not only ensure the fact you're on the right path, but how to be able to see your dream life and then achieve it. Now, I have a laundry list of artists who have been able to achieve their dreams, and if you're ready to do the same, click the link below and let's get a conversation going.
So I started to build a team with these people, and the product wasn't exactly right, but it wasn't my product, right? Again, I was just trying to bring money into my thing. What happened is we wound up falling out, like most people do.
Yeah.
And I went and I created my own stuff. And it was a shea butter base, the same kind of situation.
Yeah.
And Hustle Butter was born. Now, what other questions do you have about that? Because I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Well, from Hustle Butter, both products is fine, but you branded the shit out of your product, bro. And I feel like
But it wasn't the same product that the LePeau people had. It was not the same product.
It smelled exactly the same.
It didn't.
I remember it smelling exactly the same.
It didn't. In your brain, it did, but it didn't. It was similar, but it wasn't the same because that was a proprietary formula that these people at LPI bought from some place.
I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to accuse you of like stealing it. I mean,
No, that's all right. That's funny because that's exactly what you said to me 20 years ago. You were like, I like your stuff, but I think you might have stole it. Like,
no, fuck you.
Remember my memory, dude?
this guy remembers stuff from 1989.
I
right?
do. It's crazy. Only child, single mom. You know what I mean? I got all kinds of issues. But the point was, I made a new product. So if you're going to ask me about the other stuff, I can break down everything that, you know, what really everybody wants to know, what everybody thinks they know. But that's what it was, man. I found a product and I was working with them to try to help them bring it out, and it just wasn't conducive. Like the way they did business, what they were trying to do, and their end result wasn't in my lane of how I do things and why I want to do things. I want to do things again to make things better and give back. And that was a cash grab.
Yeah.
So I went and I did it my own way. I partnered up with my brother, Seth. We created our own shit, branded our own stuff, bought a bunch of it, made 1,500 cases the first year, and I gave away 750 of those cases.
Damn.
I gave them to all the artists I respected, all the artists I admired, and I left my friends alone. Mm-hmm. I did not give any to my friends. I did not want to be like, I didn't want my friends to be like, oh, fuck, here comes Richie.
Yeah.
Like, I got to use his stuff.
Yeah.
To the point where I'd have my friends who were great tattooers be like, yo.
What's good, bro?
Yeah, like, and that was a common thread, and I like that. I'd rather do that, and I'd rather tell you, yo, I've been waiting for you to ask me.
Yeah.
Like, I've been waiting for you to ask me. You know, and that's how, like, the people that have, like, been using Hustle Butter, there's so many people that they'll tell you they've been using it 12 years, 11 years. Like, people ride, and the people who don't ride, you know, just like artists that don't ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's.
I mean, Hustle's good, man. The Hustle Butter's good.
I've been using it since the urban.
Bro, that's 11 years ago.
Oh,
that's
my
like
goodness.
11, 12
Urban
years ago.
I remember where you were like
Afflictions.
With
That was
Afflictions, yeah.
Like,
That was
yeah.
Afflictions convention.
They spray painted on white sheets on the fence. Tell me I don't remember that shit.
Yo.
And it was windy. It was
man.
real windy that day.
Oh my god, bro. That's wild.
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad that our common thread is J.R. Maloney.
Oh yeah.
Like that's
And
my-
you know what's funny is that
brother.
all these years that we didn't even make that connection until just now.
But that's the key. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Oh, this dude just showed up. You know what I mean? You don't know. But like, you don't know who you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so very unassuming. But like, love this shit, bro. Love it. Like, I've been riding to die for this shit forever. And
So you made 1,500 cases. You gave away 700, 750, you said?
at least half,
Half.
if
At
not
least
more.
half.
If
At
not
least
more.
half. How did year 2 go?
It went better.
It was a little bit better.
No, a lot better.
A lot better.
Because the people who I gave the product to, and as much as I was traveling, it was spreading. And like hearsay, and you'd see it at convention, and it's on Alex de Passe's shit, and
Yeah. I
like
remember
the
those
people,
days.
and then somebody's like, "Hey man, I seen your product on Alex de Passe's thing, and I liked the way it looked." Like they didn't even touch it, but they just saw it, and they saw it in Europe, and you know what I mean. And then we got hooked up with Killer Inc.
Yeah.
And Killer Inc. really pushed us, and we helped them because when we first started with Killer Inc., they were selling like apprentice kits, Chinese machines,
Yeah.
and their logos were tribal things, and they were kind of guys that didn't know. They were smart, really good, and they loved it, but they were just, the Euro scene's a little weird.
I was going to say,
different.
a lot of guys maybe that listen to the pod don't know about Killer Inc. So Killer Inc.'s a big company.
The biggest.
Huge company out in Europe. So like when I started doing shows in Europe, they would be the big sponsor of the shows. And one thing that shocked me when I started doing conventions in Europe is, dude, you could go do a convention in Europe and bring nothing because Killer Inc. would have a bag there, bro, with everything you needed for that convention, and you'd have leftovers to bring back with you.
Wow.
And then the shit was good, and then you'd be like, oh man, this shit was good. I'm gonna order it from these people. And it was like totally different than like conventions here, where you do a convention here and it's like you gotta go bring everything. Nothing's gonna be there.
You're lucky if you get a roll of paper towels.
You're lucky if you get a roll of
Right.
paper towel.
Killer Inc. to us was like a dry sponge. You ever see those little Incredible Hulk like dry sponge things?
Yeah.
And you
They go
drop of water.
Yeah, they get
That's what
full
Killer Inc.
size.
That's what Killer Inc. did for us. They fucking sprinkled water on us and brought me over there, and people like I tell my wife this shit. I was David Hasselhoffen.
okay.
Like, yo, I was over there. People like, oh, in Italy it sounds terrible because
Richie Bulldog.
it sounds like asshole butter. Oh, Hustle Butter. Richie Bulldog, Hustle Butter, per favor. Hey, vieni qua. Mira, it's Richie Bulldog, Hustle Butter. And
That's so good.
and I told my wife, I was like, yo, you ain't gonna believe it, because my wife gets to travel now, but when we first started, I'm going to Europe, and my wife is still working. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like in a doctor's office, getting abused, taking care of the 3 kids. my son's appendix fucking burst on the side of the road at
Oh
the
my
bus stop.
God.
I'm in Europe. I'm in France. Hey, fucking Hustle Butter. And she's like, "You're having a fucking." I was like, "No, I'm not having a good
You're
time.
having a great time.
It sucks here. I fucking hate this, babe."
They just have great cappuccinos and lattes.
And I told her, and I was like, "Yo, Ma, for real, people were giving me their kids to take pictures with." She's like, "Really?" So 2 years later, I bring her to Milan for the first time. And this is funny because I think this is where my relationship went south with this one artist. So I'm probably with one of the biggest artists in Italy, standing with him. He uses Hustle Butter.
Is the artist from Milan?
He's from Italy.
Okay.
Italy.
Roma, Italy, right? And sure enough, I'm standing with him and I'm talking with him because he's like one of my boys. So anytime I see him, it's all exciting. Hey, what's up, man? Everything good? Everything good? He's like, yeah, somebody comes up and they're like, they say to him, can we take a picture? And he's like, sure. They fucking hand him the camera.
Yeah, take the picture, bro.
And they want to take a picture with Hustle Butter. The dude, like,
he did not like that.
it was over.
It was a crush
over
of his
after
ego that day.
But my wife saw that shit. Like, my wife saw it. She couldn't believe it. She was so pissed.
Oh,
She
man.
was like, not pissed, but like really? You know what I mean? It's like, you lose a husband and then he goes to the PTA meeting and all the moms are like, oh, he's such a great guy. It was those vibes, man. And Killer Inc. did that for us. And we were like helping them too. We were like, hey man, you guys should probably take these kits out of your, because nobody would, when you have no friends, like they say Busta Rhymes wears that big gold chain like that huge thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
50 says because he has no friends to tell him that shit is ugly. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, you only wear that shit because none of your friends.
No, and it tells you it's fucking ugly.
So we
bro.
told him, he's like, yo, you really shouldn't be selling like these kits. And you really shouldn't, you know, like maybe you want to change the logo from the tribal logo. And they were so fucking, like we became like this, and they made these little changes, and it definitely helped their game.
Yeah.
Because they're like bulletproof now. Bulletproof.
So they took the criticism well.
Yeah, they didn't take it
Good.
as even criticism. They took it as help.
Yeah.
They were like sound check, loud and clear, check. And we both we grew exponentially together. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
It got bigger and bigger every year. They were spending a lot of money overseas with us, and we were bigger over there than we were here. Just because there was no resentment there. Like it was a little different there. Nobody knew me. It was just like some dope New York America shit, which they love in Europe. They love the American culture.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The American tattoo culture, the rock culture, David Hasselhoff. You know
They
what I'm
love
saying?
some New York shit.
Yeah, they love some New York shit.
Yeah.
And Hustle Butter is New York ethos. Like the brand Hustle Butter is like hustle is all about New York. Even when I came up with the name, it was funny. Shout out to JR. It's like, JR, I got the name. And I told Seth, and Seth was like the first day, he was like, oh, I don't know. And I knew Hustle Butter. Hustle Butter. This shit is so dope. Hustle Butter. Like I was just walking around, Hustle Butter, babe. Hustle Butter. She's like, yeah. Hustle Butter. I call up Seth, Hustle Butter. I call up JR. He's like, oh. He's like, how about like Tattoo Heel? Or like tattoo. And I was like, no, bro, Hustle Butter, hustle. And he
wasn't feeling it.
It never felt it. It was a couple of people that couldn't, fuck with me because they just couldn't get past the word hustle.
Yeah.
And I just stuck with it. Now
Yeah.
it's on fucking every Nike shirt. You know what I mean? Like
Hustle.
the word hustle,
Right.
Nike, hustle, like work, hustle, like you gotta hustle, like it's fucking
Yeah, yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Like I'm almost, it's
I don't know, Richie. It sounds a little too
cliche.
urban.
Yeah,
That's a little urban.
but I got pushback. I definitely got pushback. I got pushback from a lot of people, even artists that are now my friends. Jose Perez Jr. Love him. You know him, right? From Chicago.
Yeah.
Sickest dude ever. Loves me. But the hustle just don't work for him. The word hustle, just doesn't work. And
But he can't knock the hustle though.
can't knock it. Yeah, you can't knock it. You can't knock it. And that's how I've always tried to been. I've always tried to been real with people. I don't push it on people. I don't ask anybody to use my product. I don't. How I built my team is I looked for people already tagging the product. I get 100, hello, I'm 600K followers. I would love to try your product. Good, try it.
Yeah, right.
Good, man. Give it a shot.
Let me know. Let me know if it works for you. You know what I mean? But if another artist says, yo, my boy, this, that, and the other thing, like, right, there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not that guy. I've never been that guy. If I was, maybe I would be even more successful, but I'm happy with how it's gone and how I've grown it.
Yeah.
How we've grown it, me and my partner.
Yeah.
And my wife and my kids and my family, because
Everybody's involved.
and that's why there can't be any like shenanigans or fuckery, because it's a family business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what you see is what you get. Like this is me all the time. I'm always with my wife or my kids, or you know what I mean? There's no like, again, I don't even remember the fucking question.
How many people are involved in it now? Like you have product everywhere. There's got to be a big production to
The
actually
infrastructure
make it.
is. The production is ridiculous. We have a warehouse in the States. Everything is from the United States, minus the plastic.
Yeah.
The plastic is from Plastic Land. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly where that is.
That's
but
where
it's
the
not
plastic
here.
comes from.
It's not here. I'm sure there's a lot of dead fish in the ocean there, but there's none here.
Yeah.
And it's actually recycled plastic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, but we have some back office people. We built an infrastructure. Up until about 6 years ago, it's been me, Seth, my wife, me, and Seth. Like it's just been us like handling the things.
Yeah.
And we've put all the distribution on Killer Ink being our master distributor in the EU. So that's huge.
Oh, yeah, that
right?
helps.
Yeah.
Huge,
Yeah.
because everybody goes through them. They have the clientele. So that was like an instant boost. And then as we picked up things in the United States up until 6 years ago, then we hired a young, bright, fresh kid right out of business school who actually we're putting him, he's finishing in now. He's a genius. We hired a boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because me and Seth are just like rock stars with a checkbook. You know, let's go to Europe doing this. And we probably blew so much money, gave away so much product, but this is how we got here.
Yeah.
And now it's time to buckle in because we're either going to implode or just not grow to where we want to be.
Yeah.
And the growth has been exponential. We hired a young kid, then we hired a director of marketing. We hired a product person. There's probably 6 full-time employees in Hustle Butter
Cool.
for what you see.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
great, man. And I feel like that's one of those things where, you know, people always think about like, how do you get to that part? You know, and it's like a lot of work, a lot of working together with a few people that really believe in you, really believe in your product. And I mean, you've got your whole family involved in it. And you're, you know, we heard the story of how you met your best friend who became your best business partner. But at the end, you need to have somebody that really believes in you and then sees the grind. And when people tell you, I don't like this Hustle Butter name, you have to believe it in yourself more than anybody.
Yeah.
You really have to believe it. If
Visceral,
not,
right? It's got to be like,
yeah, you have to believe it. It has to be in your heart.
So when you first started, was it just like you and your partner and your wife just cooking in the kitchen, like making the concoction? Or
no, absolutely
how
not.
did that work?
We went to a place. Like I said, we found a bunch of places that made like product, went to a place and they were like, no, it's got to be labeled. You can't just make some stuff and take it out of here.
Yeah.
It's got to be labeled. It's got to be packaged. It's got to be done the right way. So we had to like take a few steps back. It wasn't just like going into a place and just like buying what they had. You have to recreate your stuff and do things like that.
Sort of these like chemists that you're working with too?
Correct. No, an actual a facility that contract manufactures
Right.
products for different places. And it was a place that made high-end products for high-end places. The last thing I wanted to do was start something and then you couldn't finish because the products were subpar, this, that, and the other thing. So it was one of these houses that made these products. And as we got bigger and bigger, companies would come out and try to source product from my facility. People you know.
Yeah.
And when the answer was no, that's when other products come about. Like that's why you've never seen another Hustle Butter like product like that close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now there's a million butters out there.
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
So many. And it's fair to say that I brought out the first one. You know, the first one that people were like, oh, that's something. Because if I would have made it and it would have failed, there would be no butters here today. But the fact that Hustle Butter has gone so far and so high, people like,
There's some money in there.
There's money there.
Probably just-
I need to be a competitor.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Which is how probably the people who made the first version of this, when just looking on outside and like, oh, Christian Audigier is making all this money in the tattoo world. Let's just make like a couture type
Yeah.
product.
If that guy's making 100 million and I can take 20 million, I'm still
Correct.
doing all right. Like, you know, that's like the whole idea. It's like,
But there's a lot more than dealing with such a tight-knit community. Wasn't industrialized as much as it is now.
yeah.
It was still a community. Like when I first started in the early 90s, it was really a community. Like a couple of conventions. Like,
Yes.
And then when I come back to it several years down the line, there's like 5 conventions every state, 3 here, 3 there, car meet, 4 tattoo guys, this, that, and the other thing. But it was like severely industrialized, poorly.
What would you recommend for aspiring entrepreneurs in such a niche business like tattooing?
It's impossible to succeed. And if you go into that with that mind frame that it's impossible to succeed and still do it and still know what you're against, you're going to beat the impossible. If somebody tells you no, you're crazy. No, you don't belong there. No. And you still feel like you're going to do it, you're going to do it. If you're unsure, don't fucking bother. If there's any fault or weakness, don't bother. If it's any insecurities, don't bother. Now, on that same token, as secure as I am, I was raised by a single parent, an only child in a poor home. So I'm rich with insecurities, right? But if you have a strong partner, like my brother Seth Love, who when I felt like less than zero because some tattooer told me to kick rocks because I wasn't a tattooer.
Yeah.
Or this, that, the other thing. He's like, yo, bro, don't even sweat that shit. What we're doing is bigger than that. It's bigger than what people say. And for, one door that closes, how many doors open up, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
So you got to be determined and you got to have support. Nobody's ever going to do it alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love to say self-made, but I mean selves made, like
Selves.
myself.
You did it together.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it, you should just try as hard as you can. And if people tell you no and you still feel like you're going to do it, like you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Like determination is the key. Like inspiration creates determination, right? Which creates action. And then you just repeat that shit. You got to be inspired every day. You got to be determined every day, and you got to repeat that shit because every day is going to be good, and then every day is going to suck, and then those days might be the same days.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the
Learn
suck.
to suck. Be that person with those bulbs all over you. See those people?
Yeah.
Be that.
Yeah.
Fucking be the back.
Yeah.
That
That
guy.
gets sucked on those things. And that's it. I mean, like I didn't care, but I've always been like that kind of kid. Like, yo, your shoes are funny. I don't care. You know what I mean? I did care, but I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
I'm not gonna let you give you that power over me.
yeah,
Fuck that
don't let
shit.
nobody give you that power. And I've had plenty of those moments. I swear to God, coming through this because again, this is a fickle business, right?
Yeah.
Like tattooers are like bikers without bikes almost, tattooers are modern day pirates. Tattooers are very, like, the thing, like it's clicky, man. It's like
Clicky. Tattooers are opinionated.
It's cool.
click.
It's cool.
and it's cool.
Utmost. It's the coolest. And it's so funny because somebody asked me, like, if we pick up Hustle Butter, what does that do for us? And I said, we'll make you cool. Like I've said that. You're 100% right. Like there's nothing cooler than that, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing cooler than something you can have or something you can't be. Like everybody wants to be a Marine. Everybody wants to be an 81 or one of those things, or you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
things that hurt the most to get. Everybody wants to wear a black belt,
Yeah.
right?
That's the funk. All right. So first
funky.
question.
Check.
Best tattoo convention you've ever attended? Tobacco Doc, right?
Tobacco Doc. Mickey Violetta show, I believe it was 2013 or 2014. I'm not sure.
One of them.
One of them.
Yeah.
But guess what? This is the second time that a Mickey Valletto show
Yeah.
gets brought up as one of the best conventions.
Best.
The guy's putting on good shows.
He does a good job.
Best.
What do you prefer, a private studio or a street shop?
Depends on what mood I'm in.
Oh, that's a good answer. What do you think is more important, money or influence?
Money.
Which is your favorite city to visit?
This motherfucking city right
New
here.
York City, baby.
New York City.
All day.
And whenever I go to other big cities, the first thing you do is like, wow, this is just like New York.
It sets the bar.
Right?
It's definitely the
Right,
bar.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's true.
Flash or custom?
Custom.
What's the biggest challenge starting a business?
First 2 years.
The first 2 years.
Just trying to survive, just trying to stay afloat.
trying to stay inspired. Keep going.
Maybe for
Hard
some,
years.
but like I'm always like that was a different thing. Like again, even in the bad shit and the good shit, like I'm always like the next. My partner calls me the wolf, like the old cartoon wolf with the eyes like this.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, oh, I gotta do this. I know I'm gonna do this shit. Oh, this is such a good idea. No matter like the bank accounts on it, he's like, bro, we gotta sell a lot of butter before we do A, B, C. You know what I mean? So yeah, sorry.
What would you say is the most important quality for a successful artist?
Discipline.
And what's one piece of advice that you give to someone starting in the industry that is not a tattoo artist?
Learn the industry. Like learn the industry like a sport. Like learn who the people are, understand who you're talking to, understand different styles of tattooing, what they mean, why people do them. Because a style could easily represent the artist's temperament.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Damn.
Absolutely.
That's crazy how you would gather that insight, like managing and basically like just knowing that network of tattooers over the years.
100%. Like,
Personalities attached to the styles.
Easy.
Yeah, sure.
Easy.
For sure.
Like most guys that do bioorganic are nerds.
Yo, true story, my guy. True
Come on, like is that not the easy fucking?
dude.
Yo, they're nerdy. They're gonna burn some incense on the side and gonna take mushrooms on the weekends, bro.
man.
Yo, and if you're doing like
We're gonna talk about fractals.
and if you're doing like Japanimation tattoos or anime tattoos, chances are you wear a tail or something.
Big facts. And then to finish it off, last question.
Okay.
What is your favorite tattoo memory?
My favorite tattoo memory is being at Tobacco Dock with untattooed hands. And I'm like 41 years old and I'm like ready to make that leap. And when your hands aren't tattooed and you're not a tattooer, like that's like, you know what I mean? Like for the rest of your life. Oh, you tattoo? Or, oh, you ain't going to work here? You know what I mean? Like one of those two things. So Filip Leu comes jingling with his circus of dancers and, and I was like, I started tearing up. I was like, oh my God, it's Filip Leu. Cause I told you the stories about looking at the Jonathan Shaw ads for Fun City.
Yeah.
And seeing Filip Leu and thinking, oh, I want that skull with the Belgian spike on his, like I wanted that. Like that was it.
Crazy.
And the Leu family Irons crest. And I saw him and I'm like, hey, Filip, and I'm fucking like tearing up. I was like, yo, I'm from New York. I say, oh, I love New York. And like my wife is Puerto Rican. Oh, I love Puerto Rican chicks. And he does. That's so funny. And I says, I'm gonna ask her if I can tattoo my hand. Would you be able to tattoo my hand? Like I'm asking Filip Leu in the fucking hallway. Like, hey bro, you got time to tattoo my hand?
Yeah.
Like, come on, like really? Like it's never gonna happen. So he's like, oh man, I'm sorry, but like my wrist, like something's going on with my wrist and I don't think I'm gonna be able to tattoo. And I'm like, all right, man, but just to talk to him. And as we walked away, like my heart is fluttering, right? And he's like, but I'll think about it. So immediately I call my wife. I'm like, hey babe, Filip Leu's here. She's like, great.
Good for you.
And I'm like, yo, he says he's gonna tattoo my hand. She goes, I don't care. Do what you want. You know what that means, right?
Don't do it.
So I'm like, okay, great. Thank you. I love you. And I hang up the phone real quick. And my brother's like, oh, bro, he didn't want me to tattoo my hands either. He's like, all right, well, Filip Leu, I would do it. You know what? Just do it. Don't worry about it. I'll handle mommy. So the next day comes and goes, and Filip, and I wake up, like I couldn't sleep. Like I'm going to like tattoo my hand. And my wife is in like home. And she's still mad, like that she's at home working, like she's, like dealing with files. I'm like, yo, can I tattoo my hand? She's like, go fuck yourself. And so Philip's like, oh, I can't do it. My hand hurts. Like, all right. So then I see James Strickland, and I'm like, hey, James, I was supposed to get a tattoo by Filip Leu. My wife said yes, but he can't tattoo me. Would you tattoo my hand? And he goes, you want me to tattoo you instead of Filip Leu? No, not instead of Filip Leu, but he's not going to do it. But I would love to get a tattoo by you.
Yeah.
He was doing these crazy skulls that were all blacked out.
Yeah.
It was sick. So he goes, all right. He tattoos me for 6 hours. So he's finishing up and I'm still like, my heart's fluttering. Like, oh my God. And I'm like, yo, is my wife going to believe that Filip Leu did this tattoo? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to have to live that lie. Then somebody comes over to me and says, yo, are you Richie? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, yeah, Filip Leu's looking for you. He says he's going to tattoo your hand.
No way.
Bro, I got both hands done.
Oh, that's
Oh, shit.
man.
That's sick.
She's still mad. So like,
Richie, let me see the other one. Oh man, dude,
That's a good match.
that's
That's
so
great.
good.
and then, so I go over to Filip and Philip's like, he's like, wow, who did that? I was like, James. And James was like, oh no. So he's like, yeah, it'll tattoo me. I was like, yeah. I was like, James, hurry up and wrap this shit up. And let's go hang out with Filip Leu. He's like, you want me to come? So I have a picture of James, me and Filip like tattooing my hand. And James like, can't believe it. And then Philip's like, you want me to just emulate this on
Kind of
this
match
hand?
that a little bit.
And I was like, would you? He's like, yeah. He goes, do you want me to write the twos for you? I was like, yeah, I want you to write the twos.
That's cool.
Boom.
Fucking
and I was on the
sick,
plane
bro.
like this, like all fucked up.
Just yeah.
Like boxing gloves. My hands were
Oh,
like boxing
man.
gloves.
Yeah.
My wife wouldn't look at my hands for like a month. Like I was like, look how good they look. But that's my best tattoo story.
that's
That's a
That's
good one.
Oh, that's a real good one.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That's
she
a
was
good
so
one,
mad. But time heals all wounds.
That's right.
And Hustle Butter heals tattoos.
Richie,
was
thank
good,
you so
man.
much.
That was great.
That was great, man. Do you have any recommendations for anybody out there? It could be anything.
Yo, just like don't lie. Don't lie. Don't ever lie. Because if you lie today, it's gonna come up in 20 years from now. It always comes out. Just like be straight up. Be straight up, and then nobody ever has anything to fucking say about you. And if you do, the truth will come out in the end. Like
right.
I've overcame so much bullshit just by staying, just by like busting through. Not everybody's built for that.
Yeah.
But even if you're not built for it, you're gonna come out of it a lot stronger, and then you were made for it,
Correct.
right?
That's it.
It's good advice.
Can't
I
say
love it.
anything
I love
else.
New York. I love tattooing. Thank you guys for having me.
Dude, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you
That
so
was a
much
good
for
one.
coming, man. That was great.
Thanks
That
for
was
sharing.
great. Shared a long story. I mean, gave Miss the beginning, but you can watch it later.
All right, I will. Yeah.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us again. What else do we have to share?
Shameless plug.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Hustle Butter all day, every day. HustleButter.com. Follow me on Instagram at Bulldog Pro. Check out our new art gallery, Hustle Butter Fine Art Gallery. Gentlemen, you're all invited. It's just a stone's throw from here.
I know. We got to come check it out.
And we'd love to see you, bro.
Where? Give us the address. Where's that?
It's 132 Crosby Street.
Cool.
On the gateway of Soho.
I love that street.
I love it too.
That street.
Jersey Street has that little that tucked away street where there's impromptu music videos and photo shoots
every
any
day.
day
All
of the
the
week.
time there.
I've done like 2 photo shoots there. It's just so good.
It's cool.
It's such a good street.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Dope.
Cool.
Dope.
All right.
That's it. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Oh wait, actually,
Yeah.
you know what? Where's my phone?
Selfie? We're gonna do
I don't know.
selfie?
I left it upstairs. I was gonna read off some Patreon supporters, but I lost them. We'll do it next week.
We'll do it next week. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.